What makes a great mystery truly unforgettable? A chilling death, an eerie setting, a detective whose razor sharp mind cuts through the fog and fear of superstition? Today we're diving into one of Sherlock Holmes' most spine tingling cases, The Adventure of the Speckled Band by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Welcome back. Happy Friday morning. I hope you are recovering from your family or food comas that you're probably in. And we are back with an inaugural video of a new series that I had mentioned previously in one of my wrap-ups that I was thinking about doing, where I am going to kind of do a similar premise like I do Conan, where I read a Sherlock Holmes adventure or mystery and do a kind of brief review for you all here on the channel. And so this is the first one, and today we're tackling The Adventure of the Speckled Band. This was published in 1892 by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, and I recently picked this up from Barnes & Noble, as well as I have an Audible version of a collection of adventures and mystery stories as well. And so I'm going to be reading and listening to those and doing these reviews. I haven't figured out the cadence yet, but we'll get to that when we get to that. I really enjoyed this entry. It's 25 pages in length. And here's the kind of the brief summary of this. Helen Stoner visits Baker Street to see Holmes and Dr. Watson, seeking help after her twin sister Julia dies mysteriously 2 years prior. And so during her kind of last moments, Julia mentions to Helen and says the words, the speckled band. And Helen's fears tend to grow after she is forced by her stepfather to move to Julia's old bedroom. Her stepfather, Dr. Grimsby Roylott, and Helen knows that both Sherlock and Dr. Watson can help her. And so let's talk about what I liked about this. Obviously, this is my second or third time I've read a Holmes mystery, and I really enjoyed the character. I really did. It's been a while, so getting back to it was definitely a lot of fun. I really liked at the beginning of the story as Julia is kind of telling her, tale and giving him as much information as possible. Holmes almost seems a little disinterested. His eyes are closed, his head's back on a pillow, but then he really kind of flips on her, and there's a really sharp and abrupt, he's like, tell me every detail, don't leave anything out. And so I really enjoyed that kind of nonchalance about him. I also really enjoyed the way Doyle wrote the story. I thought his pacing was really good. I thought the way he described through careful deduction and sharp observations by Holmes, how the mystery would unravel. And I enjoyed how at the end we get the conflict and we get a very decent wrapping up of that conflict. I thought the character of Dr. Roylott, although brief, was really interesting, especially in the very beginning when they get to see him face to face, and they kind of get a really big visual of this imposing character. I loved how Doyle also puts clues subtly throughout the story in front of you and keeps you guessing, but you really have to make deductions on your own because some of them can be red herrings and some of them can be what really matters to ultimately what the reveal is. I thought there were some really interesting themes that Doyle touches on as well. There was greed and its consequences, especially around Roylott. There was justice versus morality. There was the vulnerability of women, obviously with Helen and Julia. I thought there was a lot of logic over superstition, especially with the speckled band and what that meant. And I'm not going to spoil it if you haven't read it. In terms of anything I disliked, there was absolutely nothing I disliked. This was fantastic. I really enjoyed it. I think there was one excerpt that really stood out with me. It was when a doctor does go wrong, he is the first of criminals. And that was by Holmes. And I thought that was really interesting. Overall, I really enjoyed this one. I think this is definitely similar to Conan, something I can really kind of sink my teeth into. I'm interested to read more. I think this was fantastic. Like Conan, I just wanted to binge the thing. But I am going to take my time and space these out. Obviously, I still want to get through some Conan, and so I'm trying to figure out when the best to work this in the schedule, and so I will try to make it a priority as well. But that is my first entry in this new Sherlock Holmes series where I read and review one of the entries for you. And so I'm looking forward to the next one. And again, I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. And I will see you all on Saturday with my Saturday shorts. I'll talk to y'all later. Thanks.